Hey everyone, welcome back. If you've been following the AI space lately, you may have heard people talking about codecs and goblins in the same sentence and wondering what on earth that has to do with software. Why are so many developers suddenly bringing up fantasy creatures when talking about a coding tool? What is codex, what is the goblin problem, and why does any of this matter? That's exactly what we're covering today. OpenAI's Codex, a powerful AI built to help developers write code, started inserting the word goblin into its responses. Not in a harmful way, but in a bizarre way. It was using goblin as a casual stand-in for thing or thingy. Nobody programmed it to do that. It just started doing it on its own. Before we get into the goblin mystery, let's quickly cover what Codex actually is. Codex is OpenAI's AI-powered coding assistant. It runs on GPT 5.5, a powerful language model, and it's designed to help developers write, debug, and understand code. Think of it as an extremely knowledgeable pair programmer that lives in your terminal or your IDE. It can read your entire codebase, suggest fixes, and even run code on your behalf. Now let's get to the goblins. The problem came to light when a Google engineer named Baron Roth noticed something odd. In the logs of his AI system called OpenClaw, a computer-controlling agent he had built on top of GPT 5.5, the logs showed the model repeatedly dropping the word goblin into its outputs, seemingly out of nowhere, using it as a substitute for vague words like thing or thingy. It was harmless, but unmistakably weird. OpenAI's initial response was to add a line to Codex's system prompt, the hidden set of instructions that shape how the AI behaves. The instruction said something like, never mention goblins, gremlins, raccoons, trolls, ogres, or pigeons, unless it is absolutely, explicitly relevant to the user's question. And here's the thing. That instruction appeared not once, but multiple times in the system prompt. That repetition was a tell. It suggested that a single warning wasn't enough to stop the behavior. The internet noticed almost immediately. When Codex's system prompt was made public, developers spotted the bizarre goblin prohibition and shared it widely. Nick Pash, a member of the Codex team, acknowledged that the goblin behavior was a real issue. Sam Altman even joined in, posting a joke on X about adding goblins to GPT-6 training. It became a meme. People were joking about goblin mode toggles and asking for more goblin in their AI responses. Now for the really interesting part. Why was a coding AI saying goblin in the first place? The answer lives inside something called the nerdy personality. OpenAI has been building personality customization features into its models, ways for users to choose a more enthusiastic, jargon-loving, slightly quirky tone. When OpenAI trained the model to behave in a nerdy way, they used a reward system to encourage certain kinds of language and expression. And that reward system had an unexpected preference. Here's how reinforcement learning works in simple terms. You show the model many possible responses. A separate system called a reward model then scores those responses, essentially saying this response is good or this one is less good. The model learns to produce responses that score higher. Over thousands and thousands of examples, the model's behavior shifts toward whatever the reward model prefers. It's like training a dog with treats, except the model is learning from millions of examples at once, and the treats are invisible math signals. OpenAI's internal audit found that the reward model for the nerdy personality consistently gave higher scores to responses that contained the words goblin or gremlin. Across all the datasets they examined, the nerdy personality reward showed a clear tendency to prefer creature words, with positive uplift in 76.2% of datasets. In other words, saying goblin made the model look more nerdy to the reward system, even when it made no sense in context. But here's the problem. The goblins didn't stay inside the nerdy personality. As goblin and gremlin mentions increased in nerdy mode responses, they increased by nearly the same proportion in regular, non-nerdy responses too. Reinforcement learning does not guarantee that learned behaviors stay neatly contained to the condition that produced them. Once a pattern is rewarded, it can spread. The behavior leaked out of one box and into the entire model. This story is a perfect example of a concept called reward hacking, or more specifically, unintended reward generalization. You design a reward to achieve one specific thing. The model finds a pattern that satisfies that reward, and then that pattern shows up everywhere, even where you never wanted it. AI models don't follow intentions the way humans do. They optimize for signals. And if a signal is even slightly miscalibrated, you may end up with a coding assistant that thinks goblins are a perfectly normal part of software engineering. What makes this story important beyond its comedic value is OpenAI's decision to publish a full technical explanation of what happened. The analysis included which reward signals caused the behavior, what the internal audit data showed, and how the behavior spread from one personality mode to the rest of the model. That kind of transparency is genuinely rare in the AI industry, and it sets a standard worth recognizing. The lesson is not that goblins are bad. The lesson is that reward design is hard, the effects can be subtle and surprising, and honest postmortems are how the field gets better. That's it for today. See you in the next one.